Never before has the rule of law been so under assault.
We have seen unprecedented efforts to transform the courts with nominees who are radical and outside the legal mainstream.
There are issues at the fundamental heart of this country that are currently up in the air. Issues like democracy, whether the president himself can be above the law, whether the rulings of courts will be respected.
If we don't have that right to vote, if we don't have access to fair courts, then democracy doesn't work.
These kinds of essential rights and liberties expand on the fundamental concepts in our Constitution, which people have died to defend.
In many ways, there's nothing more important to this country than our Constitution. And we need to pay attention to what the text and history and principles of the Constitution actually say and actually mean. And that's what CAC is all about.
CAC fights the good fight for the progressive Constitution every day. The Constitution is really our portfolio, and we fight for the Constitution in the courts, in the public sphere, because it's incredibly important to include we the people in the conversation about what the Constitution means.
And it's important that we think about how we apply the Constitution in ways that can ensure that all of those communities, regardless of race, gender, religion, national origin, LGBTQ status, can enjoy the promise that is inherent in the Constitution.
And what CAC did was come along and say, actually, you can pay attention to the original meaning because it doesn't always lead to conservative results. And I think that was just an enormous contribution.
The experiment in democracy was itself a progressive experiment. Of course, that original document, while very progressive in many ways, was importantly stained by the original sin of slavery and the exclusion of women, people of color. So as the Constitution was amended, the Constitution over time has only become more equal, more free, more inclusive, and that makes it an inherently progressive document.
I was law school roommates with the founder, Doug Kendall, and he and I remained very close friends. He built something that now is very much a part of the conversation about the Constitution. And he did it without ever losing his sense of humility or his sense of humor.
He was such a mentor to me, as well as being a dear friend. And so I knew that I wanted to continue to carry the torch for the organization that Doug built. And it's something that I am humbled by every day.
What gives me hope now is fighting alongside energized colleagues like Elizabeth, who every day roll up their sleeves and come in trying to figure out how we can use the law to fight back.
Our emoluments advocacy to hold the president accountable has been a wonderful partnership between 200 members of Congress and our lawyers, the Constitutional Accountability Center. They've been our voice.
And I think it's a real testament to both Doug and to Elizabeth that CAC remains an important contributor to our most significant conversations about the Constitution.
The public advocacy of groups like the Constitutional Accountability Center give me hope that the American spirit is going to continue, that we're going to get through these tough times, that we have the resilience and resistance to be effective through the courts.
We've seen this nation bring itself from the ashes of a civil war to end the institution of slavery and to write into our nation's charter sweeping guarantees of equality and liberty for all people. We can always bring ourselves out from dark periods into the light of an even better America than we envisioned before.